Hello everyone and welcome back to Factorio. Just in time for an autosave. Whoa-hey. So I'm afraid there are no lights in this bit yet. I'll see to it at some point. But this is mostly an experimental thing where I'm trying to work on my train setup. So I want to finish this one smelting station first before I build another one. I mostly want to know roughly how much space I need to factor in for just the routing of the trains. I have started kind of building up an oil outpost up here, because obviously when I start actually making real stride in the main base thing, I will need to make sure that the trains have fuel. So at first I thought I was just going to put a station here that was going to produce rocket fuel from the basic crude oil. But in the interest of keeping stuff in nicely separate sections and nicely compartmentalized, instead I'm going to make this into a station that just takes the crude oil and puts it on a train. And I think here, before I start with the copper area, I will actually make a station that takes the crude oil and processes it into rocket fuel. And then I have the rocket fuel which I can distribute from out here, which means it's fairly central to the future of the next base, which will be down here. Oh yeah, by the way, I did some exploring to map out these lakes. This one here is a little bit annoying. But I think if I mine out this stone patch and turn it into landfill, that might be enough to at least close this small section of lake right here. And then that will give me enough space to have the iron smelting, copper the oil thing won't be too big. And then copper smelting next to it, which again won't be as big as the iron smelting. And then I probably have enough space next to it to also have facilities to distribute stone and coal, which I think I might need. I'm not quite sure if the fuel station will also be handling other oil things that I need. I will be needing lubricant and petroleum gas for some of my production down here. I'm not sure if I'll put that there, if I'll put a separate station which would have to go either be squeezed in here somewhere, requiring more landfills, or I'll just do it on the other side of the lake. I'm not set on how I'll do that. But anyway, as I said, first things first, I want to make sure that I have a train system sort of ready to go, and this is my first attempt at signaling such a system myself. And it's very important that you use train signals for your trains, because if you only have one train in a single network, it's fine. You can just have that train run to where it needs to go and there is no issue. But as you can imagine, if there's more than one train, you need to account for the possibility that they both want to use the same bit of track. And yeah, obviously if they try to use the same bit of track simultaneously, they would crash, and that would not be good, because we don't want our trains to crash, and that can actually happen in the game. So this is not just a sort of fun consideration, this is necessary. And for that you need rail signals. Now there's two kinds of rail signals, the standard rail signal and the chain rail, the rail chain signal. And these two basically need to be combined to efficiently route the trains. And as I said, this might not be the ideal way to do this. I have some experience using trains, but for this system here, the initial train system, I've mostly copy and pasted it from blueprint books. So it might not be perfect. And yeah, I'll just run you through it. So the idea is that it's really dark, but there's no power running through the rail system yet, so bear with me. Not sure how much you'll be able to see during the night. I could use the console to make it daytime, I think, but I believe that would disable achievements, and there's 1 or 2 achievements I can still get on this map, which I wouldn't mind getting. I already have quite a few of them. I'm missing research all technologies. Not actually sure what I'm missing. These are just infinite researches. I think I need to have every research up to the point where it becomes infinite, maybe, for that achievement. Actually, this one is quite important, robot cargo size. Wow. Since I still have a science set up, I'll just research this right now. Yeah, it won't be fast, but it'll work. Okay, so not sure if it's actually getting lighter. Probably not. I'm just imagining it. Anyway, this is a train stacker. It looks a bit peculiar, and it's really not something that's used in real-world trains. At least, I don't have much knowledge of real-world trains, so this might be complete and utter bullcrap. And in fact, it might be used, or something similar might be used. But anyway, the idea is that there are 16 stations here. So in theory, up to 16 trains could just drive in there and find a spot to unload. And probably 16 trains is enough. According to my calculations, it definitely would be. But that's assuming that the ore patches that I'm using to supply the trains aren't too far away. When they are too far away, I am no longer certain that 16 trains is enough, because the trains will spend a long time driving to maybe up here and back to get the iron. So it's possible that I will need more than that number of trains. And I just want to be prepared for it. So I've got this train stacker. How many lanes did I put? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Wow. Well, that's a nice dumb number. Do I still have the... No, I don't. Okay. In that case... I'm just going to put down one more because, yeah, 19 is not a fun number. 20 works fine. And this is basically a waiting location where trains can stand and wait for a station to become usable. So when a train is finished unloading and drives out, then a train from the stacker will notice there's a space and will be able to drive in. So these signals here, these standard rail signals, these are actually, let me do something to make sure I can show you stuff. This will be just again showing you what I've done. Won't be building too much new stuff, but yeah, bear with me. It's the way it has to be at the moment. Okay, I'm just grabbing this one train, which incidentally also nicely shows us some other stuff for the future. Okay, so right now all of these standard rail signals here on top are green, telling us it is fine for a train to enter. If I put down even just a bit of train in one of these sections, then the signal will become red, and that means that any other train that's coming along here into the stacker will not be able to drive in here because the signal is red. It could actually cause some issues if I end up having more trains than I have spots in the stacker, plus spots in the station. So if I have more than 36 trains trying to get here at the same time, then this could back up and cause problems. But I don't anticipate that. Another 20 should be plenty. And if it happens that I really need massively more trains than I ever anticipated, I can expand the stacker to the side, which I wouldn't like to do, but I could do if I had to. So yeah, I think I might actually need a... I'll just put down a few more tracks here. Might actually want a train signal here. And the train signal basically checks not only if there's a train in the next section, but if the train would be able to leave the next section as well. Not quite sure how to best explain that, but I'll show you an example of that. So right here, if I remove this train, everything is green, all of these signals are green, and so is the signal right here, the chain signal. If I put down the train, and then suddenly this segment is blocked, and that means this chain signal here has turned blue. And blue basically means stuff can go through, but not to all possible locations. There are some red signals in the next segment, but also some blue ones, green ones, which basically means a train will still be able to pass, because there are still open spots here in the stacker. If there were none left, I can do this, and that means that this part of the stacker is no longer usable. And I put down this train, and the chain signal also turns red, because all the outgoing signals from its segment are also red. And that basically makes it impossible for a train to enter here, because there's no space left in the stacker. And as soon as I remove this one, it goes green, it goes blue again, because now there is space left in the stacker. So that's how that works. And then at the end of the stacker, each little parallel segment has a chain signal. And the reason it needs to be a chain signal is because if I put a normal signal, then it might well put a train somewhere down here. And the train might wait here, and I don't want the train to wait here. I want the stacker to be... I want any train that's able to leave the stacker to leave it immediately. I don't want trains to wait sort of at the end of the stacker right here. That is really not desirable. I don't think it would really matter that much, maybe, but I think it could cause issues and could cause one train to block a bunch of other trains from entering, and if that one train is... I think weird situations could arise. At any rate, it's not something I want, so chain signals here. And basically a chain signal means it'll only be green or blue if a train is not only able to go into the next segment, but if a train's also able to leave the next segment. It's very useful, especially when you build crossings to use those chain signals. And then here I've put another chain signal, which basically bundles all of the stackers into this one signal, which which just controls it. I think this one would probably not be necessary, but it also, I'm pretty sure it can't hurt. And then any train, any train will be able to get to any of these stations using this sort of distribution system here. As you can see, the one train I've removed has a green signal here and a green signal here, and that means that as long as, because there's no train down in the station, this green signal here reads that the station is empty. Basically the next segment that it's looking at is this one down here, and it'll only turn green if there's no train down there, which means this chain signal here will really only turn green in that sense. But because it's a chain signal, it'll look at the next block, which is not just going down here, also considers this parallel line here, the outgoing line. This is where trains will leave the station. They will be using the bottom of these two parallel straight lines here, the lower one rather. And because this is a chain signal, this will also block up if there's a train currently heading through here and going out. And this will just prevent a train from crashing into the side of a train currently leaving the station. Because this is a chain signal. It it ends up making sure that while a train is coming out, no other trains will be crashing into the side of it. Because otherwise we might have a situation where a train is leaving the station like so, and another train is trying to crash into it like so. And as you can see, the chain signal prevents that, because there's now a train here, so this one will prevent that from happening. Yeah, it would also be the case for a normal signal, but I wanted to read the input from the actual station to make sure that the chain signal here and the chain signals here all get the correct result. So that's the reason these chain signals here are blue. It indicates that there's at least one station that's currently available, which is the one that I've emptied out. I'm hoping that explanation made some kind of sense to you. It takes some getting used to wrap your head around these signals, but it really does make sense in the long run. And then these chain signals here, these are the path that the train takes to leave the station. So again, these are all completely identical, and they say they're green right now, and that means that a train can leave the station quite easily. I should probably grab a locomotive so I can show some stuff. Now if there happens to be a train right here, if there's one train leaving, then that means there will not be any other trains allowed to leave while that's happening. I could probably change that by putting a bunch of signals here-ish. So splitting up the system further. Let me actually test that. As I said, I've never really done signaling on any kind of large scale manually. I've always copy-pasted stuff from elsewhere. So let me just plop these down and see if that changes, because it's not quite the desired behavior. Okay. So now let me see if there's a train leaving, say right here, then obviously we don't want any trains behind it to be able to leave. But at least a train in front of it could leave now. After all, this one's still green, which means the trains can still leave here. I think that should be fine. Obviously, when I'll actually hook the system up and it'll start having trains on it, it'll be I'll be able to actually test it. I mean, technically, if a train is standing right here, so a train is leaving the station like this, then a train all the way at the back should still be able to leave because there's enough space behind it. But I'm not sure how to realize that. Maybe if I replace these with standard signals? Let's see what that causes. Alright, that's the... Oh, I still need to research this actually. Well, I don't need to, but that might be one of the things I still lack for the achievement. Oh, I can just override these, that's convenient. Okay, I don't think I can do this though. I mean, I can, obviously, it's possible to place these signals there. But I think it'd cause problems. Would it? Might make a train get stuck here and then block an input. Where's the train that I've already decapitated? I will take some more stuff from it. I'll only leave one locomotive so that the station is still considered full. So if I use the system like this, then I could have a train right here. Actually, no, I need this station completely empty. Never mind. So right now you guys are blue because the station's technically available. Now if I put the train right here, you've all turned red again because the station is no longer available. So that's an issue. This one here. Well, no, it's not an issue that one's green. Where is it? Put a train signal here instead. And okay. Obviously, if there's a train standing right there, this one should turn red, because if there's a train here, then no other train should leave, because then they'd crash into each other. I'm still not sure if these should be chain signals or standard signals or no signals at all. I mean, chain signals are usually safer because they tend to be more restrictive in when they let a train pass or not. But that can obviously also be a downside because you might be too restrictive suddenly. And having a chain signal followed by another chain signal here is obviously a bit meaningless, so might as well do it like this. Okay, so this right now tells me that no train can leave behind this train, but ones in front still can. I'm not sure if this will actually be a huge issue in the long run. I think I'll stick to the chain signals just to be safe, and if someone who knows this stuff in the comments can let me know if that's a really bad idea. Yeah, let me know. Okay, and I can place this train down again, but I hope this provided at least some idea of how this is going to end up working. Again, very much improvised and very much might end up not working, but the way it is right now, at least the signals indicate what I want them to indicate. That is, right now all the trains could leave because the output is free. There's no trains here that would stop anything from leaving. And no trains could enter because all the stations are filled. And as you've seen, if I take away one of the trains, then these here will turn blue because at least one station is open. Okay, now the next thing I need to do, however, is it's a little problematic because, as you can see, if I place down a rail signal, or if I hover over it, it shows me where a train would be when it stops at that signal. Blah blah blah. I don't think I'm getting any more actual items from this research, right? Doesn't appear to be the case. I'll just research this because why not? If you see these white rectangles that are printed on the, or that are displayed on the tracks right now, see, there's the first white rectangle has a bunch of yellow arrows in it that indicates the direction that a train would be heading from this signal. If I put it on the other side, if I were to put it on the other side, which I can't anymore because it's already if I placed one right here, I could do that, and that would be a signal for trains going the other way. Trains always only look for signals on their right side, which is why a train would not be able to leave this way because there's no signal on the right side. Anyway, it only displays 5 of these rectangles. So 1 locomotive and 4 wagons, for example, or technically 4 locomotives and 1 wagon if I were insane. But the problem is my trains are longer than that. They're in fact twice as long as that. So if I look, then this would be okay. And this too. And so that would be, I would have to remove that one. And then this segment here, from right there to right there, would be long enough to hold a train. I'm wondering if I can do that. Just need some fuel. Actually, it's already been quite an episode. Yeah, anyway, that's the general idea. I hope this wasn't too silly, but you don't want too long a segment of just rails without signals. Because this signal here, if I had this line here, which will eventually be where the trains are leaving, basically. If I had this going up all the way around here and then join up my main line somewhere here, and if this was all one uninterrupted line without signals, then only one train could be on this one long section at any given time. If I interrupt it with signals every train length, then instead there will be maybe 3 trains able to be on this rail segment, so I can have the trains leaving in quick succession. And because of the signals, it still won't be possible for them to crash into each other, but they will be able to leave at a higher frequency, because otherwise I could only ever leave. I would have basically the time it takes for a train to clear this section, the entire section. That would be how often a train can leave the station. So if it takes 10 seconds, I could only have a train leaving every 10 seconds. Whereas right now, it counts the time it takes to just clear one of these little segments here, just long enough for a single train. And I think that should be a lot better. So I'll have to handle that. Yeah, the problem is that I really need a lot of space for all this, and I wanted to make sure that I have that planned out before I start building the copper smelting and such. But I will probably connect this up to a rudimentary 4-lane system going right here. And then next thing I will do is I will connect this crude oil and have a rail system of fluid wagons that transport the crude oil to a station right here, which will be the next thing I build. And the station right here will process the crude oil. I think it'll only produce rocket fuel. My demand for rocket fuel, and this will only be rocket fuel for fueling the trains, not rocket fuel for the actual rockets that I will be launching for the space science packs. This will only be designed to create rocket fuel. And this is the next thing I do, because once I've got a sort of minimum level of completion for the tracks and the train system, I can test it. I can put trains down and fuel them and have them actually running, and I can then see if there's any issues with my signaling and such. Right now it's all theoretical, because I have no idea if that signaling works or not. Also, I should probably cut power here, at least while I'm not recording. Because the problem is, or not really a problem, I have enough power, but as you can see, I've placed on some more solar panels, but my beacons consume by far the most power out of my base right now. And it's because all of these beacons, which are currently doing technically nothing, they're still draining power, even though the machines that they are supplying their effect to aren't active. They still drain the same amount of power. It's just I think it's just to cut down on processing power, or it might be intentional to punish people for putting down beacons like this. I could do sneaky stuff and prevent this, but eventually, when this is actually all running, I will have all of this draining power all the time anyway. So I could afford a smaller energy network right now. Fine. But I can't in the long run. In the long run, I need to be able to supply all these beacons plus all the furnaces and all that constantly anyway. So yeah, I might as well have it hooked up and connected right now to to make sure I can actually meet the demand. Anyway, really boring episode and quite long. I apologize for that, but I want to make sure that the train stuff is mostly understood. There's tutorials for this stuff on YouTube as well if my explanation wasn't good enough, which it probably wasn't. But you can you can maybe appreciate the reason why there's not been much progress since last episode, even though it's been a few days. It's just setting all this down and making sure it all works nicely, especially because when you're not running from a tutorial or anything like that, it just takes a while. And yeah, as I said, I need to work these things out before I can before I can really start using the system. But yeah, I think by next time I will try and make it so that the system can be used, or at least I will have it so that there's a train running oil down here and there's a station down here producing rocket fuel and supplying my trains. I'll also need some robots to make sure that everything is supplied nicely. But yeah, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.